Hello and welcome. In this video, we are going to learn how to integrate using the substitution method. And our first question here is to integrate dx over the square root of 4x minus 1. Okay, we can rewrite this to be 4x minus 1 to the power of negative 1 over 2. We know that square root of 4x minus 1 is the same as 4x minus 1 to the power half. And when we rewrite this like this, we have 4x minus 1 to the power of minus half with respect to x. Okay, so how do we integrate this? Now, in integrating by substitution, what we want to do is to change the variables and rewrite this integral in such a way that we can easily solve it. Okay, so we're going to say that this function 4x minus 1 to the power minus 1 over 2 is a function of a function. Okay, so whenever you have a function of a function, when I say function of a function, I mean we can say that there are two functions. Okay, so we can say 4x minus 1 is a function, right? And we can call it the inner function. Okay, you can call it anything you want, but I'm just going to call it the inner function. And then the second function is the entire function, which is 4x minus 1 to the power minus 1 over 2. So I can call that the outer function. Alright, now in order to integrate this guy using substitution method, I'm going to equate the inner function to something. Let me call that u. So let's say let u equal 4x minus 1. Alright, now I'm going somewhere with this. Now I'm going to differentiate u with respect to x. Now take note of something. There are two ways to solve this problem. There is a long way and there is a shorter way. I'm going to show you the long way first, then I'll show you the shorter way to solve the problem. Okay, so when we differentiate, now in integrating this problem, we're going to do two things. We're going to differentiate and integrate. Okay, now when we differentiate u with respect to x, we're going to have 4, right? We're going to have 4. So we're going to come back here and say that this integral right here is equal to the integral of u raised to power minus half, because we've made the inner function to be u. Okay, now we cannot, this is u raised to power minus half dx, but what we have here is u, so we want it to be with respect to, so this dx means what? With respect to x. But we want this integral to be with respect to u, which is the variable we are changing it to. We are changing x to u. So we want this guy to be with respect to u. So we are going to come here, this one right here, and we are going to make the x the subject. So when you cross multiply, you have du equals 4 dx, and then dx equals to du over 4. Alright? So we are now going to say, continuing the problem, that this guy is equal to the integral of u raised to power minus half, then we replace dx with what we've made it here, du over 4. Okay, now this can be integrated easily, right? We have u raised to power minus half du over 4, that is, it is with respect, this function is with respect to u. Okay, so let's bring out 1 over 4. We have 1 over 4 integral u raised to power minus half du. Okay, 1 over 4. Alright, and this is going to be equal to, when we're integrating, we have to remember that we add 1 to the power and divide by the new power. So we have 1 over 4 into brackets u raised to power minus 1 over 2 plus 1 divided by minus 1 over 2 plus 1, and then we add c plus c. Okay, we need more space. And then this becomes 1 over 4 into u raised to power minus 1 over 2 plus 1 should be 1 over 2, right? Divided by 1 over 2 plus c. And we have this to be equal to, when you simplify this, you should have 2 over 4, right? U to the power 1 over 2 plus c, alright? And then this becomes 1 over 2, and we're going to recall that u is equal to 4x minus 1. So we want to obtain our answer in terms of x, right, with respect to x. Okay, that's why we have to recall that we made this guy, our inner function, represented with u. So we're going to say this is 4x minus 1 to the power half, right, plus c. And this is the answer to the question. And you can also write it as 1 over 2 roots 4x minus 1 plus c. Now remember I said there's a longer way to solve this and there's a shorter way to solve this. What we just did is the long approach. Now the faster way to solve this, first integrate the outer function, that is the entire question, as a single function. Like you want to integrate a, right, to the power minus half, and the way to integrate is add 1 to the power, then divide by the new power, right? That is exactly what we're going to do first, right? We're going to integrate this question as if we are integrating a, right? And then let's do that first. So we have 4x minus 1 raised to power minus half plus 1, right, divided by minus half plus 1. And then we are going to multiply by 1 divided by the derivative of the inner function. Okay, so when we differentiate the inner function, we're going to have 4. And then we can now simplify this to have 4x minus 1 to the power 1 over 2, right, divided by 1 over 2, multiplied by 1 over 4, right, and that is equal to, don't forget your plus c, right, plus c, right, and that is equal to 1 over 2, eventually when you simplify this, 4x minus 1 raised to power 1 over 2 plus c, and this is exactly what we got when we did the long method. So this is just how we go about this. Very, very simple. I hope you enjoyed the video. I hope you learned something. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. Goodbye. See you in the next video.